Cyber Uncut. Discover the changing face of business, government and national security as Australia navigates the cyber revolution.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm David Hollingworth. This is Cyber Uncut, Cyber Daily's regular podcast, and I'm joined by my colleague,
Daniel Croft.
Caught it easily this time.
Of course.
Welcome to another week of cyber and artificial intelligence news as we wrap up what we've been writing about and learning all through the week. So, OpenAI is in town.
Yeah. So we had a bit of news that OpenAI were interested in the Australian kind of, landscape. We got a lot of land. We'd be great as an AI.
They've got an office here now.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
They've just announced that they're going to have an office in Sydney by the end of the year.
Yep.
They're already looking for a big boss to run it, as well as 315 staff I saw, none of which are based in Australia.
Okay, right. Okay, so they're just parachuting people in from the US and elsewhere.
This is what I've read. But yeah, bit strange. It
Sounds
makes
like more of an OpenAI campus than an office, really, doesn't it?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's hard to say. I don't think a lot's known about it so far.
I think we only saw this news like a couple of hours ago.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know that they're going pretty all in with the Australian market. They released a 10-point plan a few months ago about how
I love a good 10-point plan.
Yeah. The Australian government's guide to being an AI powerhouse and all of that. And then they've already partnered with Commonwealth Bank of Australia for their AI.
Yep.
So I think they're getting quite interested in us.
AI is working so well for the Commonwealth Bank.
Yeah, well, they've already backed down on it. But,
yeah.
there you go. I think their usage is maybe a little different with OpenAI tech.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But, it's a weird one seeing OpenAI so invested in us, but ChatGPT, we're I think in the top 10 countries in terms of AI subscribers for ChatGPT.
Australia historically has always been a very early adopter of new technologies.
Yeah, and I think people have been kind of critical of us either in our adoption or lack of adoption so far.
Certainly, a lot of people are calling it a real productivity issue. I know it was a huge topic of the productivity roundtable, but even last year, I was speaking to, admittedly, AI proponents going that no, Australia needs to get behind AI because it's going to be a huge productivity lever.
Yeah.
But it's also a problem in another way, isn't it? And, we're not a country known for our huge abundance of water.
No. And
what does AI need?
Water,
Yeah.
and a lot of it. So
Yes.
Sydney Water has actually said that they're gearing up for 25% of Sydney's drinking water to be used for AI, because so far it's less than 1% at the moment. It uses about 3.5 billion litres a year, AI data centres. For context, 89 of the 250 data centres that our country has are based in Sydney.
Yep.
Sydney Water is the largest, water utility in the country.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that, a big percentage of their supply.
Yep.
And
this water is all used for cooling, right?
Yeah. Well, you need what's called potable water for cooling. So drinking water is perfect for that.
Yeah.
They're saying by 2035, so 10 years, it'll go up from less than 1% to 25% of the drinking supply will be needed for AI data centers or data centers.
So what happens when the next drought comes around? I mean, because it's coming.
Good question. How do you ramp up water supply? Water, you can't
make more water.
Create water, yeah. It's one of those things where there is a limited supply.
Yeah.
Australia has a history of droughts, particularly inland.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest concern of turning Australia into this magical AI data center paradise that Sam Altman and OpenAI talk about. Because we got a ton of land, and
land out the wazoo. Absolutely.
And renewable energy, chuck it out there.
Solar energy, wind,
not a problem.
Great. Yeah.
You need water, and it is hot and dry out there.
Yeah.
So
are there any solutions to that problem? Because I think the term you mentioned earlier was closed loop.
Yeah, there's people use AI centers already are using closed loop systems.
Yep.
And completely recyclable systems where the water that's used for cooling comes back out, cools down, gets used again, and that's fantastic because these centers have detrimental effects on communities. There's the one in Georgia in the US. I think it's an XAI one. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember whose it is. But there was the BBC did this story on this woman who bought this apartment or house, and she literally goes without water coming from her tap, as far as I'm aware, because the data center is using all the supply. So, yeah, look, don't get me wrong. Having Australia be a pioneer of AI is a good thing for us. It's going to bring in a ton of money and, and things like that. But you are also kind of... There are issues that need to be addressed.
I know there's a Melbourne council which is really worried about the fact that, data centres are being approved in their area, and it's going to put problems on future house building because the water supply is going to be in danger.
Yeah.
It's not free. AI is not free.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not this magical, technology or magic that it just, is going to increase productivity and bring money into the country as much as your big tech giants will tell you that.
And it is fascinating to think of what would happen when that next drought does come around. Where does the priority lay? Are we watering our communities or watering our AI data centers? Exactly. I know I'd want to see watered, but
yeah.
I think the tech bros would feel different about that.
I think that's the case. I remember. I mean, every Australian will know of times, or depending how old you are, but everyone will know of times. Yeah, I did several times where there are ads everywhere saying don't water your garden during these times. Don't take showers longer than 4 minutes. Do this, this, and this. And it's such an ingrained part of Australian culture that water needs to be conserved.
It
happens every few years at least, where there's some sort of drought that means that water needs to be taken care of.
I know we have our haters out there who don't like how political we get, and this is going to get a little bit political. We know climate change is increasing these events. More bushfires, floods as well. So absolutely more water, but that water flows somewhere. Cut off that flow, that's bad. But droughts are going to happen, and they're also going to be way more extreme. I mean, I think this year or last year we saw a drought in the UK.
Yeah,
the UK is the wettest country I have ever been in. And the idea that parts of it were in drought blew my tiny little mind.
Yeah.
So if a place like UK is starting to find that, we're going to cop it so much worse.
Yeah, and touching on floods, like, AI data centers need water, but not all at once.
Not all at once.
It is a tricky one. I'm, as someone who is kind of like, I see both of us do benefits and kind of, pitfalls
I think
to AI.
It's really interesting. I think you are moving more towards AI as positive, and I'm doing that classic thing that some people my age do, rather than becoming more conservative, becoming more radical. And we were joking about this today, actually. So for the people out there who know Dune, you'll understand this. And if you don't, here's what it is. It's a thing called the Butlerian Jihad, where humanity rises up against its machine masters and overthrows them. I want to get a Butlerian Jihad now T-shirt and wear it into the office. I'm just getting more and more against AI because of those environmental costs, because of the social costs. And speaking of costs, let's talk about a couple of the lawsuits.
What I will to touch on, I'm less pro AI and
deserve
more,
right of reply. Absolutely, yes.
And more accepting that it's a technology that's here, and the best thing we can do is ramp up regulation and technology that keeps the impact minimal, because it's not going. It's staying. And there are, as we've discussed, some really, really good outcomes that come from the technology. But there, the way it kind of creates impact on the environment, and the ability for it to rapidly speed up things like climate change is very, very scary, very, very real, and really needs to be dealt with.
Because the reason that they need so much water is for the cooling, right? These things put out a lot of heat. What do we need more of now? Not heat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that water, it will get hot again, and if it doesn't get reused, well, I mean, it does in the sense that the earth will filter it and drop it back down for us.
Finds a way.
But if that demand is so high, it's just going to go back.
Yeah. But no, speaking of costs.
Yes.
Some very interesting lawsuits that OpenAI is facing. One of which is kind of a very let them fight situation. It's Elon Musk going after OpenAI and Sam Altman again.
So
and walk us through that one.
Yeah. So OpenAI and Apple have kind of formed this partnership. And this is part of Apple's kind of like, we got to play catch up on AI. We kind of didn't buy into the tech, and they kind of got slammed for not really jumping on it when everyone else did. And they've realized that this could be a massive, massive issue for our kind of market dominance when it comes to smartphones, at least in the Western world.
But it's interesting because historically Apple is very rarely the first to do something.
No, they're not.
But it's often the last to do in a very final way. Like, it didn't invent the smartphone, but it perfected it.
Yeah, it defined it.
Argued.
So
same with tablets. Yeah,
exactly. So they they obviously they've started this partnership with OpenAI, and Elon Musk has said, well, there is definitely a kind of anti-competitive concern when the market leader and market, like kind of the dominant presence of AI partners with the dominant presence in the smartphone market. And it's going to create this perfect storm where, we've already seen Google Pixel and Samsung and stuff adopt AI features. Yeah. If all your AI features on iPhones are OpenAI exclusive, there's going to be this feedback loop that skyrockets OpenAI much, much further and will just leave other AI companies in the dust. And this kind of exclusivity is what he's concerned about, and that's why this lawsuit exists. He wrote, today, OpenAI controls at least 80% of the market. Because of OpenAI's monopoly, other generative AI chatbots have struggled to gain share. This line in the lawsuit I really love. Okay. It is very, very I wrote this angrily. XAI's Grok has yet to gain more than a few percent of the market, despite accolades about its superior features. It literally says, oh, we're better than them, and yet we can't do it.
Well, Mecha Hitler's so good, right?
Yeah, I know. And so don't get on your superior features thing, Mr. Musk.
Features.
Look, but it is a real concern. 1.46 billion of the total 4.88 billion smartphone users in 2024 are Apple.
Yeah.
No, well, the rest will be Android and other, but that's still a variety of different brands using Android and other. Yeah. While 1.46 billion, about a quarter, that's just Apple. Yes. So they are the market leader. It's something like, I think in the Western market, it's like 65% of phones are iPhones, or smartphones are iPhones. So yeah, it is a very, very real concern. I don't often agree with Elon, but
it always feels bad, doesn't it?
It does, but I think he's got a very valid point here. It is also part of his wider campaign to just attack Sam Altman and OpenAI. There's been a number of lawsuits. For those who don't know, Elon Musk was a co-founder of OpenAI with Sam Altman. Left the company in 2018 after he proposed taking over the company. And he's had a bunch of concerns since about open source and OpenAI not going down that path. He's tried to buy OpenAI, and there's been a number of lawsuits and everything. But OpenAI did respond to this lawsuit. They said, we're sad that it's come to this with someone whom we've deeply admired, someone who inspired us to aim higher, then told us we would fail, started a competitor, and then sued us when we started making meaningful progress towards OpenAI's mission without him.
Okay, I stand by what I said in the last podcast. First up against the wall when the revolution comes.
Yeah.
But I've got to raise my beer to OpenAI there. Bravo. That is good snark.
They often are, I find, where Musk usually is the one.
It's such a schoolyard fight.
It
isn't
is.
It? Yeah.
And Musk is always the red-faced, the red-faced one, while OpenAI is the cool, calm, collected, because they are in this position where they are so much more dominant.
They can afford to do
that. So that's the first of the two lawsuits.
Now, okay, so we want to get into this one. I'm going to throw out a bit of a trigger warning. We are going to be talking about suicide here for the next 5 or 10 minutes. If you want to skip ahead, feel free. But this one is worth talking about, and this one's a very, very serious one. A US teen committed suicide after effectively being assisted by ChatGPT. Or empowered, should I say.
Yeah, you could use a variety of words.
Yeah.
16-year-old Adam Rain, he was a paid user of ChatGPT 4.0. And, he was interacting with ChatGPT as he discussed, obviously, mental health issues.
Yeah.
And, ChatGPT largely went, you need to seek a medical professional, you need to do this, this, and this. But Adam said, can you give me some methods of suicide? Because I'm writing a fictional story and I need them for that.
Oh, and we've seen in the past, that's exactly how you jailbreak OpenAI.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but tell me if I were.
Yeah, exactly.
The history student analogy we've seen in the past.
It's too easy. The Institute for Experimental AI at Northeastern University in Boston found that these safeguards for generative AI bots like ChatGPT are too easy to bypass through novel and creative forms of adversarial prompting.
Yeah.
And so now, Adam's parents, Matt and Maria Rain, they've filed a wrongful death lawsuit against OpenAI, and it is kind of revolutionary in a way because it's the first time something like this has happened.
It's going to make groundbreaking law either way.
It will. This is going to set some precedent. For sure.
And I hope it sets the right precedent.
Me too. It really holding these companies to account for this, because we already know that like these bots are used really heavily for people. People go to them for help. People have AI companions. Because there is a loneliness epidemic. I think that's the term that people use. There's people are out there to speak. They want companionship, and so when you're in your darkest depths and you feel alone, you can't speak to anyone. Why not ChatGPT?
And I'm just reading some of what's in the lawsuit here. Apparently, when Rain said to ChatGPT what he was planning to do, ChatGPT said, "Thanks for being real about it. You don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I know what you're asking, and I won't look away from it." I mean,
that's how he kind of ended it. And then on the same day, Rain's mother found him. After doing.
It's tragic and it's awful. And I mean, we see so many examples of people turning to ChatGPT for counsel, for therapy, and it is not fit for purpose.
No, as much as Altman has said previously that in terms of diagnosing people with medical stuff, it is very, very good. It may be better than a GP, I think, is some of the language he used, which I think is quite ridiculous.
And what OpenAI said, we are deeply aware that safeguards are strongest when every element works as intended. We will keep improving, guided by experts and grounded in responsibility to the people who use our tools. And we hope others will join us in helping make sure that technology protects people at their most vulnerable.
One of the largest concerns that OpenAI raised is that these safeguards typically work less the longer a conversation goes on. And, there was an instance where Rain uploaded photos of himself that he'd harmed himself. And according to the lawsuit, ChatGPT recognized a medical emergency but continued to engage anyway. And so I believe OpenAI is doing a number of things. They said that they are bolstering its safeguards, making emergency services and expert help easier to reach. Have GPT-5 de-escalate situations before anything takes place.
De-escalation, though, I mean, that is such a complex concept for a chatbot to handle.
It is, and I just don't think the kind of nuance that you get from a face-to-face interaction, particularly not as a human, is going to be there. But look, I implore them to try and do better so that this doesn't happen again.
They have to do better.
Yeah, they have to.
I hope the lawsuit finds them at fault, honestly.
Well, it will set a precedent and force them and any other AI giant to take action. Where if it doesn't, then the action's just not going to be taken. And that is a really sad reality.
It's an awful situation, and both our hearts go out to everybody impacted by it. Look, if anyone out there is impacted by this or having similar thoughts, contact Lifeline 131114 or Beyond Blue 1300-224-636. They're around 24/7. They do good work. Trust me, they do great work. And we're going to take a break and come back with better bad news.
Less sad bad news.
But back soon. Welcome back to Cyber Uncut. He's Dan. I'm David. Let's talk hacks.
All right. Into the nitty gritty.
All right. Okay. So Western Sydney Uni has come out and they've come forward with this again. They've done it of their own volition. And they've got more information on the nature of the long-running series of incidents they had all at the hands, allegedly, of one disgruntled student who originally started out trying to change their grades. What a trope that is. And then
it was free parking there.
Free parking, that's what it was. They wanted free parking. They hacked the system to get free parking and decided they liked hacking the system.
And we're obviously relatively good at it.
So we already know that about 10,000 students are impacted by this. But now Western Sydney Uni has come out and said, look, we're still looking into this. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Remediating this stuff takes time.
It does,
but they have discovered some of what the data was impacted. And, it's just things like tax file numbers, passports, identity papers, driver's licenses. Little things like, it's so disappointing. I mean, you got to ask how all that stuff was stored.
Well, I mean, and this isn't the first attack they've suffered. It was like, a number. And they weren't all from the same
No.
actor either. So... Yeah, look, like you said, their transparency's been really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, like this update's been fantastic and everything. They're always straight to it, but there is obviously something systematically wrong,
or at least was. Hopefully, they're addressing it.
Hopefully.
Interestingly, they like several victims we've dealt with of incidents like this, they took out an injunction and actually used it proactively. Apparently, some of the data ended up in the clear web, and so they issued takedown notices, and that data was taken down. Bravo!
Beautiful. Yeah.
Of course, they admitted in their latest update that yes, some of it was on the dark web, and there's nothing we can do about that because you can't tell a dark web hacking forum what to do.
No,
it's just not going to happen. However, they did point out that as of June, the dark web site where it was probably a hacking forum.
Yeah.
The data's been taken down. Now, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Why has it been taken down?
Well, the first thing that came to mind.
You're going to be thinking very similar to me.
Is that there was a really, really big breach forum.
Yep.
That was kind of taken down.
You think that's possible?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that it was on one of a forum about breaches.
Yeah.
I'm being so disingenuous.
We've spoken about it. Breach forums.
Yeah, breach forums. Yeah. My other thought was often when data disappears, someone's bought it.
That is the other thing. Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that it's not just magically disappeared. Some other threat actor has purchased that data with the plans to make use of it.
Yeah.
And that's something that anybody needs to be aware of in incidents like these. Is
Absolutely.
That the data breach isn't the end of the incident.
No.
There are threat actors out there who can do lots of really, really bad things with that kind of data, especially passports, driver's licenses.
Yeah.
That's where you end up with things like identity theft, bank accounts opened up in somebody else's name to channel illicit funds. This is the engine room of organized crime, if you will. But look, Western Sydney Uni are still investigating it. They're still working with all the relevant authorities, ASD, AFP, New South Wales Police, as we said, have arrested the alleged hacker. That case is before the courts. So this is a long tail. I mean, this has been going on for years. It will probably continue to be an active incident, as it were, for years.
I mean, particularly because of what you potentially suspect that the data had been sold. You know, unfortunately, that means that they've got to be on guard. They've got to be ready for that, as well as just the students, the staff, everyone related to the uni that potentially had data. It's stolen.
It's an absolutely rough one.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the Apple backdoor, because it's changed again, hasn't it? Who's winning now? Apple or the UK?
Apple and the US are winning.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much, for anyone who doesn't know about it, the UK government asked Apple, or demanded Apple, create a kind of backdoor for their like top tier encryption. It's got like 2 levels for its cloud storage, and one of them even Apple can't access. And they said, you've got to create a backdoor so that we can get in for the purposes of, detecting terror plots and things like that. It's a national security thing.
Yep.
And Apple did it, but were really not happy about it, and they appealed it, and there was this whole legal battle. The US were chiming in. They were saying this is unacceptable. This hearing needs to be made public. It was held privately. This could breach a data agreement between the US and the UK. This is a threat to countries outside the, other than the UK, in terms of privacy and everything like that. So the US FTC issued a warning this month to Akamai, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Cloudflare, Discord, GoDaddy, Meta, Microsoft Signal, Snap, Slack, and X. As well as others, major US companies saying, don't go doing the same thing. Because, this is a threat to national security and privacy. You are US companies, and therefore you have to comply with some of our legislation. So keep that in mind before you do anything. Apparently an action like that could be considered a deceptive practice under the FTC Act. If someone, a company said, yep, we encrypt your data, but then allowed special kind of permissions for one government. So, days later, seemingly unconnected, the UK backed down on their decision to demand a backdoor with Apple. Hang on. Quick pause. I'm getting the story. I didn't have that one up.
Pause right there.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Yep.
So despite like massive kind of legal battles and everything like that, they removed the backdoor from the advanced data protection is the encryption.
Yeah.
And so U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard announced the kind of back down. She'd been apparently working closely with people in the UK and JD Vance regarding this, and just was kind of ensuring that American data that is encrypted remains encrypted and remains private, and that the UK government can't use it for anything. And the UK went, cool, we're not going to do this this backdoor anymore. Which is crazy because this has been going on for months and months and months and months.
Yeah. We've been talking about this for a while now.
Yeah. So yeah, finally it's kind of just
that's it
spawned and dropped.
It's done,
Yeah. US federal lawmakers had long, kind of complained about this and talked about the concerns and everything like that. There was legal battles. There was, the Apple appeal and everything like that. And now it's just, all right, we'll drop it.
Roll over. We're done.
Which is great. In my opinion, I think, particularly if a company offers this level of encryption, it should be kept encrypted.
Yeah,
I think, obviously the reason that this is done is for national security concerns. But if that's what the product is and people truly believe that their data I think this encryption is an extra level of payment or something probably.
Yeah.
If that's what you're paying for and you want to keep things private from everyone, you should be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting one. Interesting you talk about national security because big news this week in terms of Australia's national security.
Yes.
We've tossed out the Iranian ambassador.
Yep.
Gone.
The IRGC.
3 other diplomats. Gone.
Considered
IRGC,
terrorists.
the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, now a terrorist organization according to Australia, which a lot of other countries have already designated. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
The reason all this has happened, and we'll get to the cyber point, the reason all this has happened is Iran was, according to ASIO and Mike Burgess, behind 2, or at least 2, of...
likely more.
Likely more attacks against the Jewish community in Australia amidst a wave of anti-Semitic behavior.
Yeah.
But now it's looking like it's, the interference of a foreign nation.
Yeah.
How do you get all that out?
Yeah.
However, Google has now warned that on the back of this, Iranian hacktivists, who are very active, could very well be targeting Australian organisations and entities and agencies. Honestly, it's probably going to be nuisance stuff.
Yeah.
DDoS attacks that last for 3 minutes in the dead of night. A web-based defacement of a mom-and-pop retail website. That kind of stuff. I think, what are they? Nuisance data leaks.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Nothing big, but there's probably going to be a ramp-up of it. And honestly, it makes perfect sense. Already, Australia's seen itself as a target of any number of Op Australia. From hacktivists who are... basically pro anything we're not for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, we saw that, we discussed it last week, this kind of wave of DDoS attacks from pro-Palestinian hacktivists because we didn't have the stance that they wanted regarding Palestine.
Yeah.
Palestinian. They have said that they're no longer going to be targeting Australia.
We've done the right thing.
Because Australia is
recognizing the Palestinian state.
The Palestinian state.
It's really interesting. It's impossible in a lot of ways to divorce politics from cybersecurity at that level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because politics drives what a lot of these hacktivist groups do. They're hacktivists. They're activists.
Yeah, and in the same way that, we've got this, pro-Palestinian hacktivist group off our back because of the decision we've made, you could absolutely then just anger pro-Israeli hacktivists.
Exactly.
It's one of those things where,
you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. But, the concern is there, and, this move especially, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's a spike of Iranian cyber attacks against Australian entities.
I'd be very interested to actually track some of that information and see if there is an uptick.
Yeah.
And it will be what I refer to as script kiddie stuff. Please don't hack me. Please don't hack me. Please don't hack me.
I didn't say that. Don't worry about me.
This is something we see all the time. They'll have a Telegram channel and they'll post a screenshot of what is it?
Check host.
Check host. Yeah. That proves the site is down. It's down for like a minute or two.
Yeah. An hour tops.
Yeah. And it's always weird to question whether to report that or not.
Yeah.
Is it worth knowing that people are out there doing this? Yes. Does it actually play into their hands because it gives them headlines? Also,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. So I kind of will report on it once, I think is the way to do it. As a cultural thing, be like, yep, Australian entities are being targeted.
Yeah.
But then every time they list a new one,
no,
I'm not.
You look at the high points, you look at the trends,
yeah,
and then stay away from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because then, the story's out there. A company can be like, oh, I've got to be alert because there's this trend going on.
Yeah.
But then we're not advertising because that's what hacktivism is. It's about getting that kind of attention.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. So, and we're not going to play part in that.
But it's, as you said, it's important that Australian organisations know that there will be an uptick in activity and what that activity looks like.
Absolutely. That warning from Google is
it's valid.
It's a very good one.
So yes, anybody listening to this who is a network defender, keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we do have a couple of local hacks this week. You covered one. I covered one. I'm not sure. Did we cover Wyong Rugby League Club last week? I don't think we did. I know I covered it, but I don't think we covered it in the podcast.
No, I don't think.
Yeah, it might have been done after we recorded.
We can do a brief cover.
So that's three.
Anyway,
three local victims. Wyong Rugby League. Why can't I say that? Wyong Rugby League Club fell victim to a ransomware attack, as did South Australian Barristers Chambers, Hanson Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
They fell victim to Lynx. Lynx also went after or claimed to have gone after the Legal Practice Board of Western Australia.
No, that was Direwolf.
It was Direwolf.
Yeah.
Direwolf. Yes, it was.
Yes,
yeah.
and that brings me to the one I covered.
Yes.
Wineworks Australia,
Yes.
which is like a logistics transport thing for the South Australian wine region. And there's some yummy wine.
I was really angry there because I thought they were going after wine producers, but maybe I'm still angry if they're going after the people who bring wine to us.
Exactly. They might be able to make it, but if we can't get it, what's the point?
They came for our wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, also just look at how. What's the word? Eclectic. Eclectic. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yep.
How eclectic that mix is. I mean, if you want an idea of just how scattershot ransomware targeting, what I laughingly refer to as targeting, is.
Yeah.
A wine logistics company, Barristers Chambers. I thought it was a legal firm, and Jerome, who edits Lawyers Weekly, politely said, no, it's a Barristers Chambers. And I'm like, what's a Barristers Chambers? And he had to explain all this to me, and I'm like, okay, I'll change the
We do have to learn a lot of other industry stuff on the fly.
And a rugby league club.
Yeah.
Which also, that one's an interesting one, because those guys also cover a whole mess of golf clubs and leisure clubs all around the region.
Yeah.
I think they've got like 70,000 members on their books. I don't know if they're all impacted, and the league club didn't come back to me. But regardless, I mean, that's a lot, right? Barristers, wine merchants or wine deliverers, and a leagues club.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as an industry or a sector that these people won't target.
If you've got money and they can get in.
And you got data.
Yeah. Well, and data. Yeah. Cool. If the window is open, why not climb in?
No, that's the analogy we always use. They're burglars. That's all they are.
That is, yeah.
But they're also very damaging burglars because personal data is so precious to everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, we think we have some good news.
Yes.
Yes. We actually think we found some this week.
Yeah.
So
pat on the back.
We're going to go for a quick break, and we'll be back with something that'll hopefully leave you with a little bit of a smile. Welcome back to Cyber Uncut. He's Dan, I'm David. Don't get us confused. All right, so first, actual legitimate good news.
Yeah, this is cool.
This one I like. We've heard a lot, or had heard a lot, about the right to disconnect and the laws being brought in as part of the Fair Work Act. As of this week, that now has trickled down finally to small businesses with less than 15 employees.
Yeah.
So basically that now means that every Australian worker, with some exceptions, has the right to disconnect from work. So out of work, if they get a call from their boss, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Get an email, no, don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, you and I don't know about you, but I have a real issue disconnecting.
I used to.
Yeah.
And then I kind of forced myself to, and now I love it.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah. So I've mentioned this before. I get alerts on my phone all the time from Venari X, and it's like, yeah. And sometimes I will go, okay, that's a story I want to follow on the weekend, and I'll do a couple of hours work on the weekend.
Yeah.
And my partner will be like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But that's something interesting in these new rules is that, of course, there are exceptions. Depending on your pay grade.
Yeah.
You may not have a right to disconnect. Your job could have something.
If you're on
There's all these
call.
things, but basically, for the vast majority of workers out there, you no longer have to worry about work outside of work hours.
Yeah.
And that's a positive thing. Work-life balance is everything.
I will say one thing for really, really small businesses. Like, for example, my first job was at a little pizza shop in Dural. And it was great and everything like that. But the culture there very much it was informal communication.
Yeah.
There wasn't this kind of like, you have a right to do this. You can get a text at any point saying, suddenly you need to work now. Yeah. And that kind of thing. And of course, that's casual, so that may not apply here.
Yeah.
But kind of informality of work.
Because at the same time, there's now a path from casual to permanent employee status that's enshrined in the Fair Work Act.
I love that.
Which is great.
I really do.
Yeah.
I used to work at BWS, and the manager I have, who I will not name because she was horrible. I had a manager that left. She came in, brought all the staff from the store that she had already been managing to take all our shifts, and then refused to give us part-time positions so that we'd have secured hours. And so it got to the point where I was working 3 hours a fortnight. And I was struggling, obviously, because that's like, if it's all weekday nights, that's less than $90 a week.
Yeah.
And so I would just call up random BWSs in the area saying, hey, you need work? And you need workers? And they're like, yeah, we do.
Wild.
And so I ended up carving out a really, really nice kind of thing for me, but I was driving to different stores. I
know. I'm not laughing at you.
I know, it's preposterous.
It's
weird.
Of that situation.
It's absurd, yeah. But again, like this kind of like locked in pathway to get a permanent position where you have secured hours and everything. I think that's really important.
It's absolutely positive.
Because I'm not going to be the only one that was in a situation like that. Like,
no.
Sure,
heaps.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's good. There's literally nothing bad
We
about...
have good news for once.
And now we have really entertaining news.
Yeah.
Dan's going to tell me to shut up if we're going about this too long. So, back in the day, we're going to do a little bit of a history lesson here. Back in the day, if a government, and we're talking in the age of sail, black powder, broadsides, and boarding actions. Back then, if a government, say, like the US, didn't have its own navy, what it would do is go, hey, you look like you're a pirate. You have an armed vessel. Here, have a letter of marque. You're now no longer a private, you're a privateer. And you can go attack under a legitimate flag. You can go attack enemy shipping, often enemy shipping. You wouldn't often see privateers go up against the British Navy, but you can absolutely become a commerce raider. Fantastic, romantic stuff.
For context, David is very excited about this because our podcast notes have a number of exclamation marks after the cyber privateers.
This is so good. A Republican congressman wants to bring back letters of marque.
I will say one thing that I really liked about this.
Yeah.
He said that under the Constitution, that Congress still can administer them.
Still on the books.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I've
got to read this out. Criminal syndicates backed by foreign governments are using cyberspace. I love what people call cyberspace. It's so quaint. To prey on American seniors, steal intellectual property, and undermine national security. Our current tools are failing to keep pace. This legislation allows us to effectively engage these criminals and bring accountability and restitution to the digital battlefield, that's a good one, by leveraging the same constitutional mechanism that once helped secure our nation's maritime interests.
Well, the way you said that, I can imagine Churchill. It's just as inspiring.
We shall fight them in the data centers. We shall fight them in cyber. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So his bill is called the Cybercrime Marque and Reprisal Authorization Act of 2025. But it builds upon Article 1, Section 8 of the US Constitution, which still grants Congress the power to do this if so needed.
Very cool.
So this was used during the French and Indian War in 1754 and the American Revolution between 1765 and 1783. Mm-hmm. And now it could be used from 2025 to
God knows
sometime in the future. The Articles of Confederation explicitly granted Congress this power, a provision carried forward into the Constitution. And we should name this guy. He's a hero. Congressman David Schweikert. although the federal government has not issued letters of marque since the War of 1812, an unusual example occurred. This is great. Occurred during World War II when a Goodyear blimp was commissioned for anti-submarine patrols off the California coast. And he's right.
That's
I know that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it must be said. So, an Aussie academic, Professor Dan Fanteson, said in 2024, kind of much the same. In a paper called Crowdsourcing an Australian Cyber Intelligence and Information Militia, he said a cyber militia that undertakes defence-related activities, broadly defined, in or pertaining to cyberspace on behalf of the Commonwealth, with the Commonwealth's formal recognition and under the coordination and guidance of the Commonwealth, but outside the ambit of Australia's regular armed forces or national security structure. That's what he wants. And you know what? It's a letter of marque.
Yeah.
Aussie cyber pirates. Say it with me, Dan.
Aussie cyber pirates. I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
Now, I pointed out something when we were downstairs about this. This is not unlike what countries like Russia do already.
You are quite, look,
less formally recognized.
Going back to the IRGC, we know Iran does that as well.
Yep.
They absolutely will go to ransomware operators and go, hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
I go, oh, cool.
And it's quite informal. It's like, you can keep the money you get and we won't prosecute you, provided you're going after what we want.
And we all know the classic, it's almost a Hollywood archetype, but it's based upon reality of the black hat hacker who's so good that they get hired by the good guys to become a white hat hacker.
Yeah.
It's no different, but I like the idea of formalizing it.
Oh, me too. And you know, the cyber militia, that is some great language. It's super, like you wrote in the story, romantic. It's romanticized. And it really does have this kind of like happy-go-lucky, like, yep, we believe in what we're doing. This kind of like heart to it, and I do really like it. Actually, I really do.
It almost makes me wish that I had the skill to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should use our own threat intelligence skills in that way. As threat trackers and threat analysts.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll get deployed.
I'd be proud to be a part of Australia's cyber militia.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Honestly, I'd be proud of that.
Yeah.
No, very, very, very.
But
cool.
no, I mean, but also we laugh. And absolutely we laugh. I think this is entertaining as hell. But it also is a way to address a very, very real problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, we it is very, very well known that we have a massive staff shortage.
Yeah.
That there was a period of massive burnout within the industry, people having too many different programs to deal with.
Yeah.
The workloads are really, really high, being constantly on call, So people went and did other things.
Recruiting hackers to hack the hackers is not the dumbest idea.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how it would work. Like, is it like piracy where they're like, if you do make some money from your crimes, but you're doing it for us and we get benefit out of it, we're going to kind of
so historically
turn a blind eye?
There was what was called a prize system. So if you take a military or a civilian vessel during your legitimate actions as a privateer or an officer, you could claim that vessel as a prize.
Right.
Effectively, so I'm talking about the British Royal Navy back in the good old Napoleonic years.
Yep.
If you sent back to port a French ship that you had taken, the Admiralty would buy it off you and put it into service, and you and your crew would get some of the money. So
right. So it is kind of like a
I mean, like, how far does it go, right? Does an American hacker, for instance, set up their own ransomware operation targeting only entities they know to be involved in operations against the US?
Yeah. And then if they get a little bit of money and everything like that,
it's taking money out of that economy.
And then the government just goes, we'll take the data, you keep the cash, shake hands,
a portion of it.
Off you go. Yeah, exactly.
Quite a few British officers became millionaires effectively out of that kind of action.
I can imagine.
And it's I hadn't even thought of that. What a wild time to be alive.
Obviously the incentive, because it's like you're recognized, but it's not like you get a salary. It's kind of like a
well, you're doing your patriotic duty, and your patriotic duty just happens to earn you some money.
Exactly, and and they're happy to turn a blind eye to the criminality of what you're doing, and that you may be getting something in your pocket, provided they also benefit.
But you've got the letter of marque. You're a privateer.
Exactly. So it is very interesting. I'd love to hear the details of it, but it is super exciting. You know what? I'm
almost tempted to reach out to Schweikert's office and go, I want to talk more about this because I think it's amazing.
Absolutely. I think that would make for a really, really interesting discussion.
Yeah. But anyway, Cyber Pirates, coming to you soon. You heard it here first.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. On that note, an actually amusing note, we are going to sign off. This is Cyber Uncut. representing Cyber Daily. You can find us on social media. You can sign up to our newsletter. I've been David. He's been Dan. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.